the rise of Islam Makhachev, the unseen road to greatness. Let me take you back to the year 2018, when the world was watching closely as a quiet storm was brewing in the lightweight division of the UFC. Far from the limelight, a young Dagestani fighter named Islam Makhachev was carefully and steadily climbing the ranks, determined to make a name for himself. Now, you might have heard his name in the mix with other elite fighters, but back then, his journey was anything but easy. Islam's rise was not just a path marked by punches and kicks, but by precision, strategy, and his relentless pursuit of victory. Islam's first major win in 2018 came against the tough Brazilian grappler Gleison Tibau. Tibau was known for his powerful wrestling and his ability to control the pace of a fight, and many believed this would be a test of Makhachev's skills. This wasn't just a fight, it was a turning point for Makhachev. It was about showing the world he wasn't just another fighter from Dagestan. He was ready to redefine what it meant to dominate in the UFC. Now, the fight against Tibau wasn't a walk in the park. Gleison Tibau, with his 31 UFC appearances and numerous accolades, was a veteran of the sport. He had fought legends like Khabib, and here he was facing Islam, someone many didn't take seriously just yet. But Islam proved them wrong. It wasn't the most explosive fight, but it was a technical masterclass. Makhachev's grappling and wrestling were on full display. He neutralized Tibau's strengths, smothering him with his control and clinch work. The fight was a grind, a testament to the Dagestani's ability to impose his will on his opponents. As the fight wore on, it became clear that Makhachev wasn't there to lose. He was there to prove a point. The judges scored it unanimously in his favor, a decisive victory that demonstrated his composure under pressure and his mastery of the fundamentals of mixed martial arts. Islam's second fight of the year against Jon Jones was another test of his growing potential. Jon, known for his striking skills and ability to avoid takedowns, presented another challenge for Makhachev. But what the world didn't know was that Islam's game plan was already locked in. He wasn't going to play Jon's game. Islam's strategy was simple: control, dominate, and make his opponent play his game. And so, as the bell rang, Makhachev once again took charge. This fight was a brilliant showcase of Makhachev's evolution. Every time Jon tried to move, Islam was right there. Every time Jon tried to land a punch or set up a strike, Islam was already clinching, moving him, or taking him down. Makhachev didn't give Johnson a chance to breathe, and it was clear to everyone watching that this was a fighter on a mission. The judges' unanimous decision in Makhachev's favor once again confirmed what everyone had been suspecting. This guy was something special. But here's where things get interesting. While Makhachev was quietly putting together an impressive streak of wins, the UFC community, and indeed the entire MMA world, wasn't quite ready to give him the recognition he deserved. His wins over Tibau and Johnson were important, but they were still under the radar. This was a time when Khabib Nurmagomedov's shadow loomed large over the lightweight division, and despite Islam's potential, many saw him only as a training partner of the reigning champion. The question on everyone's mind was simple: could Islam carve out his own legacy, or would he always be in the shadow of his more famous teammate, Khabib? The stage is set, a battle of styles and expectations. While Makhachev's wins in 2018 were impressive, they set the stage for a battle he would face in the years to come. The battle to be recognized as more than just Khabib's protege. But in 2018, this wasn't yet a controversy. It was a question. The answers were coming, but they were slow. The real controversy came in late 2018, when talk began swirling about Islam's next big challenge, his potential title shot, and the big names he was going to face. Fans, analysts, and fighters began to realize that Makhachev wasn't just fighting for recognition. He was fighting to carve his own path in the brutal world of the UFC. And just as he was starting to emerge as a force to be reckoned with, the media and critics couldn't stop talking about Khabib's dominance in the UFC and how Islam was essentially in the same mold. The problem? People were drawing comparisons, sometimes unfairly, between the two fighters. Was Makhachev the next Khabib? Was he merely a reflection of Khabib's? Makhachev had to fight more than just his opponents in the octagon. He had to fight the perception that he was Khabib's shadow. Controversies before and after the fight. Let's talk about the story beyond the victories. Before Islam's fights with Tibau and Johnson, people were wondering whether his quiet, reserved nature meant he lacked the charisma and marketability to capture the attention of fans. Critics argued that while his technique was undeniable, his ability to attract fans and stir excitement was still in question. After these victories, however, some fans and pundits were quick to dismiss his wins as mere decisions. They said he wasn't finishing his opponents in dominant fashion and wasn't living up to the knockout or bust expectations set by the UFC's biggest stars. That's when the narrative began to shift. Makhachev's steady and controlled style started to be criticized as boring, safe, and lacking in flair. But here's the twist. Makhachev didn't need to conform to expectations. He didn't need to play the exciting role that many fans wanted. He didn't need to be a knockout artist to win. He needed to be effective, and his victories, though methodical, were clean. And so, the story of Islam Makhachev in 2018 wasn't about flashy knockouts or submission of the night finishes. It was about a young man, steadily and surely building his foundation. Islam was on the rise, and the controversies surrounding his style only served to fuel his journey further. Those wins over Gleison Tibau and Jon Jones were pivotal, not because of the headlines they made, but because they set the stage for what was to come, a champion who would prove the world wrong. Islam Makhachev's quiet demeanor and unassuming nature in the UFC may have initially led to his victories being underestimated, but history would show that the path of a true champion isn't always loud or full of spectacle. Sometimes it's about silencing the critics and continuing to perform at the highest level. Islam's story was one of patience, hard work, and an unrelenting drive to carve his own legacy in the world of mixed martial arts. As we look back at his wins in 2018, we realize that what appeared to be quiet victories were actually the early steps of a future champion's reign. Islam Makhachev wasn't just going to be another fighter. He was destined for greatness, one fight at a time. And by the end of 2018, the world was starting to notice.